Hello there and a very good morning and welcome to the Breakfast Rundown with me, Zulfick Farzan. It's Monday and on the 14th of November, Sri Lankans will once again head to polls to elect the new parliament. Well, let's dive into the details of the stories that are making headlines here at home. Now, a special meeting regarding the security of VIPs, including former presidents of Sri Lanka, will be convened this afternoon at the Ministry of Public Security. Now, Acting Inspector General of Police Priyantha Veerasurya said that the meeting will be chaired by the Minister Vijitha Herath. Now, the agenda for this meeting includes a review of the current security threats for the VIPs in question. Now, additionally, several key decisions related to VIP security will also be reached at this meeting. Now, last week, Sri Lanka Police announced the withdrawal of security provided to former members of Parliament. Now, according to police spokesperson DIG and Attorney at Law Nihal Thalduwa, only the former Speaker, former Deputy Speaker and the Leader of the Opposition will continue to receive police protection. Additionally, the police spokesperson said that former MPs facing specific threats or issues will be provided with police security as needed. Now, Acting IGP Priyantha Veerasurya also announced that officers currently assigned to VIP security will be reassigned to regular duties. Now, at the same time, the Ministry of Defence has issued a clarification regarding the payment of the motivation incentive allowance to Tri-Forces personnel. Now, recent reports on various social media platforms suggested that this allowance for the personnel attached to VIP security details has been discontinued. In a letter addressed to the commanders of the Tri-Forces, the Ministry of Defence clarified that the allowance for personnel assigned to the security details of former VIPs would no longer be paid, as the personnel would not be involved in such duties from September 22nd, 2024 onwards. Now, consequently, the allowance will only be paid up to September 22nd, 2024. Now, the ministry has further emphasized that the allowance for Tri-Forces personnel attached to the security details of the Chief of Defence Staff, Tri-Forces commanders and former presidents has not been stopped and will continue to be paid as usual. As I earlier mentioned, Sri Lankans will once again head to the polls on the 14th of November to elect the new parliament. Now, newly elected President Anura Kumara Dissanayake, just days after assuming the role of the President of the country, dissolved the 9th Parliament of Sri Lanka, paving the way for new elections. Now, the acceptance of postal voting applications for the 2024 general elections will open tomorrow. Now, this announcement was made by the Commissioner General of Elections, Saman Sriratnayaka, who stated that the process will continue until the 8th of October. Now, according to the Parliamentary Elections Act, applications for postal voting must be accepted from the 7th to the 14th day following the announcement of the election. The Commissioner General Ratnayaka has urged all eligible postal voters to submit their applications through their respective institutional heads between the 1st and 8th of October. The 2024 voter registry will serve as the basis for this election. Although the same registry was used for the 2024 presidential election, voters are required to reapply for postal voting due to the potential changes in their places of employment or institutional heads. Now, therefore, it is essential that all postal voters to submit new applications to ensure their eligibility for the upcoming general elections. At the same time, something interesting is developing in the Sea of Sri Lanka. A multi-day fishing vessel carrying 5 Sri Lankan fishermen has encountered an accident in international waters. Now, the incident had taken place on the 26th of September, involving the vessel named Ranmutudua 10, which had departed from the Mirissa Fisheries Harbour. Now, the fishermen had set out to sea on the 12th of September for their fishing activities. The vessel's owner was informed that the distressed vessel is currently drifting towards India. In response to the situation, another vessel had been dispatched to the area to provide assistance. The Department of Fisheries said that the Sri Lankan Navy as well as the Indian Coast Guard was informed of this developing situation through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and also to coordinate rescue efforts. Similarly, the Sri Lankan Navy has reported that over the past year, that so far this year in 2024, a total of 413 Indian fishermen have been detained for poaching in Sri Lankan waters or the Sea of Sri Lanka. Now, along with these fishermen, 55 Indian fishing vessels have also been seized and have been handed over to local authorities for legal action. Now, just yesterday, according to the Navy, another 11 more Indian fishermen were apprehended for unauthorized fishing within the Sea of Sri Lanka. You might recall in 2022, Sri Lanka went into an economic crisis and it defaulted on servicing its external debt. Thereafter, Sri Lanka entered into an IMF-supported program, the Extended Fund Facility, for a 48-month period. A delegation from the International Monetary Fund is expected to arrive in Sri Lanka on the 2nd of October. The visit aims to discuss the next tranche of the IMF program and also to review the progress Sri Lanka has made under the IMF-supported program. Now, according to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the delegation will be led by Krishna Srinivasan, the Director of the Asia and Pacific Department of the International Monetary Fund. Now, this team is expected to meet with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Vijitha Herath, as well. According to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the meeting will be centered around the next tranche of the IMF program and also the release of the tranche for Sri Lanka to continue with its progress. Now, just last week, the central bank also held a press conference to announce its decision on the monetary policy rates. And during that press conference, questions were also raised from the central bank governor with regard to the restructuring of international sovereign bonds. Now, Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe, the governor of the central bank, responded to questions stating that already Sri Lankan authorities have reached agreements in principle with the China Development Bank, the ad hoc group of bondholders and the local consortium of bondholders. He said that the next step involves ensuring that the restructuring aligns with the International Monetary Fund's debt sustainability analysis. Dr. Veerasinghe expressed confidence that the process adheres to the DSA, which is why details are being published. Now, he said following this, it is crucial to maintain comparability, meaning that the relief provided by the Official Creditors Committee or the OCC and other creditors must be consistent. He said the goal is to complete this phase promptly, adding that once these steps are finalized, the bond exchanges can proceed potentially within 6 to 8 weeks. Now, let's cross borders and move into the Middle East, where some interesting developments are taking place and international bodies and governments are urging restraint from multiple factions in order to prevent a full-blown out conflict in the Middle East. Israel's continuing airstrikes may have already forced as many as 1 million people from their homes across Lebanon, said the country's prime minister. Now, Lebanon's health ministry has reported that more than 50 people have been killed in Sunday's airstrikes by Israel, 2 days after Israel assassinated Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah in Beirut. Lebanon has also fired more rockets into Israel. In a separate development, Israel said that it carried out large-scale airstrikes on military targets of the Iran-backed Houthi movement in Yemen. Hezbollah confirmed on Sunday that top military commander Ali Karaki and senior cleric Sheikh Nabil Kauk had also been killed in the airstrikes by Israel. Lebanon's Prime Minister Mikati said the airstrikes had forced people to flee from Beirut and other parts of the country, including the southern border region. Now, local authorities are struggling to assist everyone in need, with shelters and hospitals under growing pressure. Now, the previously sporadic cross-border fighting escalated on the 8th of October 2023, the day after the unprecedented attack on Israel by Hamas gunmen from the Gaza Strip, when Hezbollah fired at Israeli positions in solidarity with Palestine. Now, there is mounting international fears of a wider conflict in the Middle East. Washington has warned Israel against an all-out war with Hezbollah or Iran, saying a major conflict would leave the Israelis unable to return to their homes in the north. Over the past few days, in the evening hours, Sri Lankans experienced torrential downpours, leading to some areas being inundated for several hours, as well hampering vehicular movement across many regions. The Met Department is saying that showers or thunder showers will take place across several areas in the country during the afternoon or at night. Now, heavy showers of more than 100 millimeters of rain is expected in the areas such as the Western Province, Samaragama Province, Central, Southern and Northwestern provinces. The Met Department is also saying that showers may occur in the Southern Province as well, as including the Batticaloa and the Ampara districts. As usual, the general public is requested to exercise caution during a torrential downpour and also take necessary measures to minimize accidents related to lightning strikes as well. We conclude this morning's breakfast rundown with an interesting thing that happened during the weekend. In a solemn and dignified ceremony held in Trincomalee's Austenburg Point on the 27th of September, the ashes of late Lieutenant Norman Schofield, a Royal Navy officer, and Mrs. Marian Schofield, his late spouse, were scattered with full naval honors. Now, why is this interesting? Let me tell you the story. Between 1956 and 1958, Lieutenant Norman Schofield served as a communications officer at the HMS Highflyer naval base in Trincomalee, which was regarded as the second largest naval base in the world during that period. Now, in accordance with the officer's final wishes, who passed away back in 1999, his and his spouse's ashes were respectfully scattered following naval traditions. Honoring the final wish of Lieutenant Norman Schofield, who passed away 25 years ago, his ashes were intended to be scattered in sea in Trincomalee. Unfortunately, the practice had been discontinued due to various complications. Now, according to a special request made by the Defence Advisor of the British High Commission in Sri Lanka, Colonel Darren Woods, to the Commander of the Navy, Vice Admiral Priyantha Pereira, the ceremony of scattering the ashes of the late Lieutenant Norman Schofield and his wife at Austenburg Point was organized at Naval Dockyard. Now, the late Norman Schofield served in Sri Lanka, stationed in Trincomalee Naval Base until its transfer from the Sri Lankan government in 1957. And with that interesting note, we wrap this morning's edition of the Breakfast Rundown. Until I meet you again, same time, same place tomorrow, take care and God bless.
ජාතික මෙහෙවරින් අපි කතා බහ කරන්නේ පුරුෂ පාර්ශවයට කාන්තා පාර්ශවයට වෙනසක් නැතුව ආයුර්වේදයට අනුව ලස්සන වෙන්නේ කොහොමද කියලා.
හොඳම මොයිස්චරයිස් එක තමයි කොමඩු.
යම්කිසි වයස් මට්ටම් වලට පැමිණෙනකොට ඇතිවෙන බෝන්